Hi again, and this is Dondon for another Soul Chat. Today, let's talk about guidance. I think guidance is one of the most important things to understand in our journey to awakening. We need to know how it works in our lives and how it affects us. People understand guidance very different. I'm not here to tell you which one is right and which one is wrong, but I hope to share with you how I personally receive guidance in my life, and maybe you could resonate with it. To move forward with this, I think we can all agree that guidance comes from a higher source, and guidance is here to help us in whatever path we choose to take. I think the difference comes in our understanding and experience of transmission and reception. And this is where huge differences can be observed from person to person. Another important factor here is what we've discussed in the very first episode, which is our ability to receive guidance is somehow also determined by our beliefs or limiting beliefs. For instance, if you are a person who believes that you can only find guidance through scripture from sacred texts, then that is where you will find guidance and nowhere else. Or if you believe that guidance from heaven should only pass through people who we deem holy, like priests or pastors, then that is how you will experience receiving guidance. And surely guidance can come from all of them. But I am one who subscribes to the belief that guidance can come direct and often comes direct from source, who can and will use anything and everything in the universe, including, yes, scripture, holy people, and absolutely anybody to get the message across. That to me is how guidance works and how I experience it. I think in order to appreciate this more, there are a couple of things that we also need to be clear about what guidance can and cannot do. The first of which is heaven will never violate our free will. And so I'm very convinced that heaven will never make a choice for me. I think the purpose of being alive is to learn from all the choices we make, no matter how small or big it is. So heaven will not tell me what to choose. How this works, I think, is that the minute we make a choice about who we are, about what that next version of ourselves will be, that's when guidance kicks in. You will receive guidance to, hey, pick up that book, or call that person, or look back, or, help that person, or move out. And that's why you think guidance is telling you what to do. But it's only telling you what to do because you've already made a choice for yourself. It's just pointing you to the direction of your choice. So I think we gotta be clear with that. Oftentimes when people come to me for a reading, for example, to ask for guidance, first of all, I tell them, I'm not here to tell you what to do. We're here to seek for guidance. And many of them are puzzled and in the beginning somewhat disappointed because they come expecting me to tell them exactly what to do or not do. And so first, I need to put them in a place where they have to be clear about what guidance they seek based on a choice that they are about to make or a choice they made about themselves. And then maybe I can help you in understanding and receiving the guidance that you're looking for. I always say, how can I give you a map if you're not telling me where you want to go? So you got to decide first, who do you want to be? What is it in this situation that you are choosing to become? I'm not talking about here the nice, fun guidance that is very useful every now and then, like a little feeling of where a good parking spot will be or a good bet on a stock, that sort of thing. We're not getting there. What I'm talking about is the guidance that comes to us that we need and that we want to receive when we want to listen to heaven, because perhaps we're not so clear about the path to take in where we said we wanted to go. So just to recap that bit, guidance, I believe, comes in the minute we make a choice about ourselves. Heaven will speak to us when we ask about how to get to where I said I wanted to go. And this happens in many levels. And some of it, I am convinced, are the choices we even made before even incarnating in this body. These soul choices or soul contracts matter a lot because our guides and guidance will always remind us of that and point us to the direction on where we had planned out to go. But it will never violate the choices you make now, or any choice for that matter. Let's put this in practical terms. Suppose you're dealing with a difficult relationship. So now you want guidance on, should I leave this jerk or should I stay? If your question is limited to that, I think it will be very difficult for guidance to give you a clear answer. What is the choice that you need to make first about yourself in this difficult relationship you have? And what does the choice look like? For example, you can choose to say that I am not a victim anymore, or I refuse to be disempowered anymore, or I want to be independent. So these are clear choices. And so now you ask heaven to talk to you. What is the best thing to do given that these are the choices that I make? Then perhaps heaven will tell you, leave. Or heaven will tell you, no, stand your ground and learn how to gain back your own power. And that's how it works. So the power of choice is so important because that is where our power lies. That's where the power of our soul lies, in our ability to choose. And heaven will always, always support that. It will not decide for us. That much is clear because it's not going to violate our free will, as I've mentioned earlier. The next important thing that we need to know about guidance is transmission and reception. Many of us often dictate to God how we want guidance to be received. And I think this is where a little holdup or the problem comes in. We tell God that this is the only way you have to answer me. You have to give me a sign. It has to be a white rose given by this person at this time, at this place in the front door. So can you imagine how much of the universe, I'm not saying it can't be done, but can you imagine how much of the universe God will have to rearrange so that you will have your sign with the right rose and the right person at the right time at the right place, just for you to get the answer you want? Why not allow heaven to use the entire universe at his disposal to get you the answer you need? Doesn't that make more sense than asking for a specific sign? And so this is where reception matters. This is where we have to put ourselves in a place and say, God, surprise me. Our job is to be aware. Our job is to be on the lookout because God is in everything and will speak to us in the best way possible. It can be through a voice you hear. Why not? It can be through a vision in the sky. Why not? Or it can be something as simple as a ridiculous meme you see online, or a friend telling you what to do. Or most of the time, which for me, how heaven likes communicating, is through our feelings. How do we feel about that? How do we feel about something? And those are all just a few of the things, of the ways on how heaven can speak to us if we let it. Look, in the beginning of this video, I said the way you will receive guidance, the way you will perceive guidance is limited to your beliefs. So if you're one who requires specific signs, then so be it. But know that that is the only way you can receive it, because you're not open to any form of reception. Your ears and your eyes and your heart and your mind will not be open to any other thing than what you've dictated heaven. And sure, you probably will get your sign. Great. But I'm quite impatient. Which brings me to another point. I'm also very convinced that the answers are there even before you ask. That's just how heaven works. That God knows your question even before you ask. And so the answer is there already. Again, all we need to do is pay more attention to our intuition, pay more attention to our feelings, pay more attention to the signs and symbols and serendipitous events and words that people tell you that strike something. This is how heaven speaks. Well, at least to me. So let me give you an example or two on how this plays out in my life, in the moments that I really believe that the answers are there, when I'm in the zone. So there was this one time, I was probably in senior year high school. We were driving in a car with my mom and my little sister. I like to push my mom's buttons and, piss her off with existential questions or religious questions that I know she has no answers. So here I was talking about the Holy Trinity and saying, what the hell does that mean? What do you mean 3 persons in one God and all that stuff? And then when you ask a question, people just tell you, no, it's a mystery you will never understand. And I would tell her, that's a cop out. God gave me a brain. I should be able to understand somehow. Of course, she was there getting furious and trying to explain. But seriously, I did have a question. I did want heaven to answer me. And when she just about got so frustrated and gave up, here's my little sister, and she just blurted out something. She said something like, you know what? I remember when I was in 3rd grade, my teacher told me this, and this, and this. And in like 2 sentences, I just shut up completely. Because at that moment, it rang such real and honest truth, at least truth, that resonated with me, that I was just jaw dropped and I just shut up. I'm like, and at that moment, it was very clear that heaven spoke through me pissing off my mom and my little sister just blurting out something. That's how heaven speaks. Why shouldn't it be? And so there was this other time when I had a lot of theological questions, and the things I believed about my faith are just being overturned. And I got stuck in the question about the Blessed Mother. I was born and raised a Catholic, so the Blessed Mother, Mother Mary, was very central to our faith. And I wanted to seriously understand, what is her role here, not in the Catholic traditional way, but what is the more universal wisdom? I wanted to understand her beyond the confines of Catholic doctrine. Back then, there were still no CDs, and I had, little cassette tapes of different audio lectures I would copy. And I was cleaning my shelf, and literally one cassette tape fell down, and I picked it up, and it said, The Return of the Mother. So I picked it up, I listened to it, and it was an entire lecture about the exact question I wanted. But the point is, I did get my answer. But wait, heaven wasn't done that day. Later on in the afternoon, the doorbell rings. It was my dad's weekly subscription of Time magazine. And guess what's in the cover? The cover was the image of the Blessed Mother, and the headline was The Search for Mary. And it was an entire article about the evolving understanding of Mary, and again, the feminine aspect of the divine is. So tell me if that is not heaven speaking directly to me. Now, how many times has that happened to you? How many serendipitous moments happen to you and you get the right answer that you need? That's guidance. Again, all we need to do is pay attention. And more than that, it's the belief and the absolute faith that heaven will answer you, and heaven has the answers already. You will be surprised if you get into that zone, get into that place of knowing heaven has your back and you already have the answer. There's just so much beliefs that are limiting, even beliefs like it's too good to be true. No, heaven can't talk to me this way. Why can't it be? You're talking to God. Oh, and this is where, a lot of our worthiness baggage also gets in the way. I'm not worthy for heaven to speak to me directly. Why? Where is it written that God can't talk to you, that God can only talk to Moses and the Pope? Nowhere is it written. So why can't you receive guidance directly? Why can't God speak to you? Why can't he use words? Why do we find it silly and funny when we hear somebody say, God told me to move out and go to this and live in this province? Why do we automatically think he's cuckoo? These are all limiting beliefs that limit heaven from getting through us. Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to stop me first for a while now. There's so much more to cover on guidance, but you gotta stay tuned for part 2 of this topic. For now, I hope you were able to absorb a little bit of that. And please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. But more importantly, chat with me below. All right, see you later. Bye.